Hey everybody, how you doing? So we are waiting now on the Senate to give the final vote on the GOP tax bill. I sent out an email to MMT Trader subscribers earlier today talking about the impact of that Tax Reform Act, and in particular, there's a very, all right, let me just say this. First of all, on the issue or the question of the so-called repatriation of profits by U.S. firms that have their profits domiciled overseas or parked overseas. This is a very important point, and I broke it down in the email. By the way, for those of you who are not MMT Trader subscribers, if you want that email, just go to my website, pitbulleconomics.com, and sign up for a 30-day free trial of MMT Trader. There is a large amount of misunderstanding and misinformation concerning this idea of repatriation of profits and the so-called bringing back those dollars. All right. To me, it is the same amount of misunderstanding as the people who were predicting hyperinflation when the Fed started to engage in quantitative easing, or when they brought the rates down to zero. Okay, it's the same sort of misinformation or misunderstanding, I should say, from the people who were saying that higher interest rates were going to be bullish for the dollar. Of course, you know, I have been saying the opposite, and not just saying that. I have explained why that is not true, and I have explained why, in fact, the opposite is true, that rising rates are bearish for the currency and falling rates are bullish for the currency. So there's the same amount of misinformation or misunderstanding in this concept of repatriation of profits, the so-called bringing back those dollars. So I explained that, and you need to know this because this actually will set up a very, very significant profit opportunity. All right. So that's number one. That was in the email. The effect of the tax bill, also very, very important. I went into it here in previous, prior videos, and I talked about it in very simplistic form. Right now, if you think of government spending as the accelerator in a vehicle, in an automobile, and the pressure on the accelerator is way down to the floor right now because we're spending what is going to be a record amount this year. But at the same time, the government is collecting a record amount of taxes. That's the other foot on the brake, okay? Any let up in that brake pressure, which is what the tax cut will be, will accelerate the car. Now, I said it won't be evenly distributed throughout the economy. It won't be distributed probably to those who have the highest propensity to spend and consume. That would be the middle class and lower income. But nonetheless, it will be some pressure off of that brake, and it will accelerate the economy. That is going to be a fiscal expansion, and it will have a very important impact on a lot of things, on the economy, as I mentioned, on inflation, on the markets, how the markets react to that. You need to know this. I mean, I've always said that our job as investors, we have to sit around and you wait until the people who, have their fingers on the levers and the buttons, the policymakers, you sit around and you wait and they tell you what they are going to do. This is a classic example right now of this very important change in policy, in tax policy or fiscal policy. And now it is time to prepare for what is going to happen as a result of that. But you need to have the knowledge, you need to have the understanding of what it is that you have to do. I have that. My subscribers at MMT Trader have that as well. If you do not have that information, you will get it wrong, or you might be lucky and, get it right for a while. But for the most part, most of you will get it wrong. And I say this with a lot of confidence because the understanding when it comes to anything fiscal or monetary policy related, the understanding is very, very weak on this. And in fact, in most cases, it's backwards. So you have to know what is going to happen, and that is what I put in the email today. So again, if you want that email, go to MMT Trader. Go to Pitbull Economics and sign up for a 30-day free trial of MMT Trader. You know, I get a kick out of, I watch sometimes these videos on YouTube, people purportedly, putting themselves out there as experts, telling people about, let's say, or warning people about the dangers of U.S. debt, the U.S. debt, etc. And they go, some of these things are very cleverly designed, sometimes with really cute animation. And they start off their explanation and they go right into equating the United States with a household. They're like, well, this would happen if you paid your mortgage on a credit card, and that's exactly what Uncle Sam is doing. Nuh-uh. To leave out the monumentally important distinction between a currency issuing entity, such as a sovereign nation like the United States of America and the federal government, and a non-currency issuing entity like a household, is the most basic mistake you can probably make. So these people spend a lot of time making their fancy videos to explain to you how, we're going to go bankrupt because if the household did something like this, then it is inescapable that they would end up going bankrupt. But yet they leave out the most important distinction that you could possibly make, which completely separates the two explanations, in that a household is not a currency issuing entity. And to conflate the two things, a sovereign government that issues its own money where all of its debts are denominated in its own money, and a household that is not operating under those conditions, is the height of ridiculousness, for lack of another word. I mean, it's the height of ignorance. It's the height of stupidity. But that's what I see out there all over the place. And again, these are very, well-crafted videos. They're cute. They have animation and everything, maybe a little bit of music. They're just all wrong. They're all wrong. So if you're linking up with these things and sending the links to people and say, hey, look, this is what's going to happen to us, you are very, very, very misinformed and ignorant. You need to understand. Period. That's what we do. All right, everybody. See you later. Bye-bye.